welcome back to another episode of From the Barber's Chair. I am your host, Mr. Mason with the Message, and today will be our second segment of In the News Today. In the News Today. Like I mentioned before, From the Barber's Chair, we'll be touching on several topics that get discussed in the barbershops all across the nation. And local and world news is definitely some of those topics that get discussed on a daily basis. So the first topic at hand and in the news today is Hurricane Ida. Hurricane Ida. If you're not familiar with Hurricane Ida, you might want to familiarize yourself with it. You might be someone living in one of the surrounding areas that could be possibly impacted by this hurricane. Right now, Hurricane Ida is said to be a Category 4 according to certain news sources. And Hurricane Ida is said to be moving at 150 miles per hour. If you're not familiar with how hurricanes work, 150 miles per hour is 7 miles per hour away from becoming a Category 5. If you want to know the location of Hurricane Ida, news sources have reported that Hurricane Ida is about 60 miles south of the mouth of the Mississippi River. NHC forecasters said in a 7 a.m. Eastern Time update as the storm continues its march toward Louisiana and the Gulf Coast at 15 miles per hour. People are trying to evacuate and the roads are jam-packed. So that's chaos on top of chaos. I hope everybody be safe, and I hope this hurricane does not impact people in a devastating way. I know how powerful hurricanes can be, and I'm praying for everybody that lives in those surrounding areas. I hope all of you are in a safe place, and I hope God can rebuke the storm so it can move in another direction or begin to dissipate. However, that is our first segment of In the News Today. That was our first topic, Hurricane Ida. And our next topic, stay tuned. Our next topic is Afghanistan. Afghanistan. Afghanistan is an interesting topic to discuss right now. I've been hearing about this topic for the past 2-3 weeks, and a lot of things that have taken place across borders and within our own local government has not made any sense to me. That's my synopsis of the situation. The viewers out there may have a difference of opinion. Although when I was in the United States Marine Corps, we had an acronym which was identified as BAMCIS, BAMCIS, BAMCIS. And what BAMCIS means is B means begin planning, A means arrange recognizance, M means make recognizance, C means complete the plan, issue the order, and supervise. So BAMCIS means you have to make the proper arrangements to make the plan come to fruition, and not only come to fruition, the plan is foolproof because you have already thought out all the contingencies in case something might go wrong. BAMCIS is a sequence of events which tactical unit leaders use to plan most tactical operations. I'm saying all this to say, obviously, our president may have not got the memo about BAMCIS. In my opinion, I think the move to evacuate Afghanistan and publicize pulling everybody out by August 31st was not arranged properly. And as a result of that, we have all kind of chaos in the news today that's going on over there. As a result, the premature plan to publicize pulling all troops out by August 31st while leaving behind military equipment and other forms of intelligence have left Afghan citizens, American citizens, as well as soldiers vulnerable. This is what's going on in the world news today. According to the Wall Street Journal, Kabul airport attacks kills 13 U.S. citizens and 13 U.S. service members, at least 90 Afghans. 2 explosions ripped through crowds seeking evacuation, followed by an assault by Islamic State gunmen. This is in the Wall Street Journal. More than 100 people were killed because things were not arranged properly. BAMCIS. Presidents should have some kind of military experience, in my opinion, or have an advisor who has extensive military experience calling most of the shots and making most of the decisions. At the Kabul airport Thursday, 2 blasts ripped through crowds trying to enter the American-controlled facility, disrupting the final push of U.S.-led evacuation efforts. So here we are finding out that this idea to evacuate people by August 31st is being interrupted. So what is the contingency for it? Also in news, a suicide bomb attack at the airport's Abbey Gate was followed by an assault by a gunman. Officials said another bomb attack took place nearby at a hotel outside of the airport. These things are happening in real time right now. Officials said 18 U.S. service members were injured. And you can get that information straight from the Pentagon News. This is coming from the Wall Street Journal. Here's a side note for us to think about. Over $80 billion worth of military equipment is being left behind in Afghanistan. Now, I don't know where in BAMCIS that would equate to be making sense, but I don't think it makes sense at all. So, do you believe, as a viewer, a listener, what's your thoughts on this? Is this proper BAMCIS? Is this proper BAMCIS? If you want to look up that acronym, it's a Marine Corps acronym, and it's BAMCIS. So it's a lot of turmoil going on over in Afghanistan with this evacuation. And August 31st is closing in very quickly. That will be Tuesday. And we'll wait and see what happens. That's it for that topic of In the News Today. Stay tuned for the next topic. Next up, in the news today is something that's very disturbing, something that is very heartfelt to some, and it's repulsive to many. This thing where people, make up in their mind that they want to molest our youth and take advantage of their vulnerableness, and their lack of experience. And sometimes our status quo can cause our youth to look up to us in a certain kind of way. And we tend, not us personally, but certain people tend to use that as a tool to cast a spell upon them and make them become victims of their own little sick ideas or imaginations. So for this next segment, we're going to deal with this statutory rape cases that's going on and molestation allegations is going on. And there's a brother, I don't know if most of you are familiar with him. He goes by the name of Brother Polite. Brother Polite, his real name is Michael Nowak Jr. He's 37 years old, but he goes by the name of Brother Polite. You can check him out on YouTube. He's all over YouTube as a motivational speaker. He just became a millionaire because of his philanthropy. And we have to be careful, of who we confide in and trust, because we just don't know what the future holds when we put our life or our children's lives in other people's hands. So Michael Noah Jr., Brother Polite, 37 years old, is accused of sexually assaulting a minor, which happens to be 14 years old. He's 37, she's 14. This will probably be her first year in high school. I want to know, where in the HE double hockey sticks are these kids' daddies? I know if I had a daughter and something of the nature would have remotely happened to her, then there would be hell to pay, let alone agreeing to allow my underage daughter to hang out with an adult to do God knows what. Secondly, before continuing with the backdrop of this story, we have to be mindful of the ones we choose to follow. Now, if you ever listen to Brother Polite on YouTube, this is not an uneducated brother. He's very astute. He has created languages of his own. He comes from a school of thought. And I can't discredit him when it comes down to that area. However, it is those things that can become tools to manipulate others. So we have to be very mindful of these things. And I'm not convicting Brother Polite. I'm not saying he's guilty. I'll let the evidence prove that. But I'm just giving you what's going on in the news today. And there's a scripture I want to share before I go on. And this scripture comes from Luke, the 6th chapter, verses 43 through 45. And you'll find this in the Bible. Preferably, I hope you have a King James Bible. It says, "For a good tree bring not forth corrupt fruit, neither do a corrupt tree bring forth good fruit. For every tree is known by its own fruit." So If you pay attention to people, the record will reflect exactly who they are. You know? And that came from Luke, the 6th chapter, verses 43 through 45. And that's letting you know that people who desire to do good are not going to be corrupt. People who desire to be corrupt, they're not going to be good. It's the tree, and these are the fruits that they bear. I like something that Maya Angelou said. Maya Angelou says, when a person shows you who they are, believe them. I don't know why we have a hard time believing when someone shows us who they are. Okay? Now here's the backstory. Michael, Brother Polite, Nowak Jr., 37, allegedly asked this 14-year-old girl's mom for permission to take her to an adult party, and the mom allegedly says yes. What was this mother thinking? Somehow there is no party because the alleged venue that they were supposed to be going to is closed. How convenient. Jesus, take the wheel. What is about to happen next? Somehow they allegedly end up at a hotel room, and the 14-year-old consumes alcohol and drugs that she allegedly got from Brother Polite. The 14-year-old girl says she remembered being groped in an obscene way, and the next thing she remembers is waking up with fingers down her throat as an attempt to make her throw up. Now, what is he allegedly trying to make her throw up out of her system? I'll let you be the judge. What kind of tree produces this kind of fruit? See, the body will only be as strong as the head. When the head is sick, guess what? The whole body is sick. You can't have one without the other. You can find a little more on that if you read 1 Corinthians chapter 12, verses 12 through 27 in the same Bible. And hopefully you have a King James version. I said that to say Brother Polite had a leader, a teacher, a father figure by the name of Dr. York. Dr. York was convicted. He was known as a cult leader, according to some news sources. But Dr. Malachi York was convicted. He filed a $2 billion lawsuit. He is the former head of the Eatonton-based Nuwaubian group. That's what Brother Polite professes to be, a Nuwaubian, New Covenant. He is now serving 135 years on federal child molestation charges. Now, if this is his teacher, if this is his leader, if this is his father figure, then that is also his head. And if the head is sick, the whole body will be sick. But I'm going to let you do the math. Now, for my next segment on this child molestation, we're going to jump straight into it. R. Kelly. The R. Kelly trial. I'm sure most of you have already heard about the Robert Kelly rape cases. Therefore, I'm going to say a little about this situation. But let me run through these years real quick. You judge a tree by the fruit that it bears. When a person shows you who they are, believe them. Well, let's look and see. Back in 1994, 27-year-old Robert Kelly arranged false documents so that he can marry 15-year-old Aaliyah back in 1994. In 1996, R. Kelly was sued by a woman for emotional distress because of sexual harassment. In 2001, he sued by a 17-year-old female for sex allegations. 2002 through 2004, more of the same thing. 2017, trapping underage females to be used in a sex cult. 2019, accused of sex trafficking. 2021, R. Kelly is still singing that song, Not Guilty. When a person shows you who they are, believe them. But in other songs that we hear, we also heard R. Kelly say, my mind is telling me no, but your body is telling me yeah. And I know some of you out there today, look at these young girls, they coming out of the womb built like brick houses. I don't know what's in this food, this Enfamil or what it is, but some of these little girls look like they're older than what they are. But when you get up on them, you see that they are young and innocent. When you have a conversation with them, you know that they are also inexperienced. So that's no excuse. In an interview with Touré of BET, R. Kelly was asked, do he like teenage girls? And instead of saying no, he asked Touré, exactly how old are we talking? I'm going to let you be the judge, but judge the tree by the fruit that it bears. That's it for that segment of In the News Today. Stay tuned for the next one. To make light of the situation, next in the news today, we're going to be dealing with sports. So I'm just going to touch on some of the sports trades that then took place. I'm going to run through this real quick so everybody can be abreast of what's going on. This is happening in the NBA. The Timberwolves pick up Patrick Beverley. From the Grizzlies. Okay. The Knicks add Fournier in a sign and trade with the Celtics. Okay. Grizzlies trade Bledsoe to the Clippers for Rondo and Patrick Beverly. Ooh, that trade almost doesn't make any sense. Bulls, the Chicago Bulls pick up DeMar DeRozan. DeMar DeRozan goes to the Chicago Bulls. And the Spurs get Al-Farouq Aminu and Thaddeus Young. Bulls acquire Lonzo Ball to the Chicago Bulls. It's going to be interesting next season. And the Pelicans get Garrett Temple and Tomas Satoransky. McDermott goes to San Antonio Spurs. And Lord have mercy. Tristan Thomas goes to the Sacramento Kings. Wow. And the Celtics get Chris Dunn and Bruno Fernando. I'm just running through some of these trades that's been going on. And just so we know some of what's going on in the league, up and coming. The Pelicans get Valanciunas, Devontae Graham, and Trey Murphy, and Brandon Boston. And there's a lot that has taken place. I'm not going to read all of them. And Kyle Lowry goes to the Miami Heat. And Goran Dragic, Precious Achiuwa goes to Toronto Raptors. The Nets trade Shamet to the Suns. The Cavaliers pick up Ricky Rubio. That's a big one. We're looking for the Cavaliers to bounce back sometime soon. Hopefully LeBron comes back to retire. And I'm not going to read the rest of those because I want to touch on the NFL. But let me say, speaking about LeBron, the Los Angeles Lakers has stacked the deck again. I don't know if you guys are up to date on that, but, they have, I believe, Isaiah Thomas. I believe they have Trevor Ariza, Russell Westbrook, Carmelo Anthony, And of course, LeBron James and Anthony Davis, and I believe they have they have brung Dwight Howard back. So the Los Angeles Lakers has stacked the deck once again. And I hope next season these other teams, Brooklyn Nets and the Clippers and, you know, the Cavaliers and, you know, all these other teams that are favored throughout these seasons, I hope y'all come to play. You know, because we not only come to be entertained, but we want to see some good games. And this is going to be ridiculous next season. And you can look forward to Christmas Day because those same Lakers will be playing the Brooklyn Nets on Christmas Day. So that's something to look forward to. That's all I have for that portion of NBA in the news today. Stay tuned for the next topic.
Roughing the passer, 15-yard penalty, and automatic first down.
Up for the next topic of In the News today, I want to give you a brief report on the NFL. And all I really want to talk about now is the injury report. As far as the NFL is concerned, we can get real excited because we're back in football season. We at the third week of the preseason. Everybody's fired up, looking good. And I'm ready to get this thing going. And right now already, we have a whole list of players on the injured list. I'm not going to read them all, but the Arizona Cardinals has about, 7 to 8 players on the injured list. The Atlanta Falcons has about 8 players on the injured list. The Baltimore Ravens, all my Ravens fans out there, you know what it is. The Ravens has too many players on the injured list, including one J.K. Dobbins. We need him ready to go. As far as his status is concerned, he's out for the season. We didn't even get a chance to see him flex his muscle yet. He's out for the season. So, Buffalo Bills, Trayvon Hester, he's on injured reserve, but we don't know. But that team has at least eight people on the injured list. The Carolina Panthers has 3 players on injured reserve. We don't know if they're going to play or not, but they have about 10 people on the injured list. The Chicago Bears has 1 player out for the season, Tevin Jenkins, and they have 2 other players who are on injured reserve, but we don't know if they're going to play or not. They have at least 8 people on the injured list. The Cincinnati Bengals has 3 players out for the season. You know, Wyatt Hubbard, Hakeem Adeniji, Joseph Asai, and they have 1 on injured reserve, but we don't know if he's going to play. And they have about at least 8 people on the injured list. Now here's another favorite, the Cleveland Browns. Cleveland Browns, for all the dog pound lovers, has 3 players on injured reserve. We don't know if they're going to play. But they too has at least 8 people on the injured list. What's going on with the conditioning? Are they working out right? I mean, what's happening? Are they hitting too hard in practice? What's going on? It's a lot of people injured before the season even starts. Dallas Cowboys has, Lord have mercy, at least 4 players out for the season and at least 4 players on injured reserve. We don't know if they're going to play or not. We don't know. Only time will tell. But they have at least 10 people on the injured list. So I can go on and on with these teams. Let me, because I know we got some Detroit fans out there. Detroit has 3 players out for the season. And at least 2 players on injured reserves. And like I say, we don't know if they're going to play or not. But they, too, has at least 8 players on the injured list. As I scroll through, I'm looking at all of these teams, and it seems like only the Green Bay Packers has the least people who are on the injured list. I don't know what the deal is that. I mean, it's a lot of people. Lord have mercy. The New England Patriots has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 players out for the season. And the season hasn't even started yet. And they have at least 10 players on the injured list. I don't know what's going on. The New Orleans Saints, has like 6 people on injured reserve. We don't know if they're going to play or not. But they also have 2 players who are out for the season. So let's look at, let me do the New York Giants, because we got some Giants fans out there. Giants fans' whole injured list is almost questionable. So their injured list might be playing in this season. As a matter of fact, I expect them to be playing. But then they have at least 4 players who are on injured reserves, and we don't know if they're going to be playing or not. Now, I want to go to, y'all can look this information up for yourselves. I'm not going to mention, I'm going to go straight to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, where America's Golden Boy plays for. Y'all know who he is, Tom Brady. Well, looking at this injury list, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players out for the season. And at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players who are on injured reserve. So we don't know if they are going to play or not. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers also has at least 10 players on the injured list. This is before the season even starts. So I hope these players get better, because, it's hard to win when you're playing on one leg or you limited players. You need all the pieces to the puzzle sometimes. There is no I in team. It's together, everyone achieves more. So looking forward to this football season coming up. But we got a lot of players that's injured. And that's not a good look moving into the season. So that's all I got for you for the topic of sports on In the News today. Stay tuned for the next topic. Our next topic for In the News today is an update on the George Floyd case. If you haven't been keeping up with that, we want to say rest in peace to the late George Floyd. And We still send out condolences and prayers for the Floyd family and every other family who have lost their life to an abuse of power or an excessive force from local authority. Former officer Derek Chauvin got sentenced to 22.5 years in prison, and that's at a second-degree murder conviction. I'll let you be the judge. Do you believe that this is enough time? What are your thoughts on that? 22.5 years in prison, second-degree murder. Think about first-degree murder. You have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that it was premeditated. It seemed very premeditated to me, but I'm not the judge. We are interested to hear your thoughts on this, so feel free to comment. But yes, the former officer was sentenced to 22.5 years in prison on second-degree murder charges. The other officers that were involved are still awaiting trial, so we'll stand by, and I encourage you to stay tuned to hear the updates on that in the near future. That concludes this segment of In the News Today. I want to thank all of you who tune in faithfully and subscribe to this channel. From the Barber's Chair is for you, the people, and we hope you share and hit the like button. And when you see our Cash App handle up there, please donate to this ministry, because these funds are going toward helping others in the community and the upbuilding of this ministry, and to maintain and maintenance this podcast, so we can give you the best of our potential that we could possibly give. With that being said, I am your host, Mr. Mason, with the message. Till next time, peace.